If you have a question for Coach Case, let me know down the chat and I'll call on you. But we'll just start first, Coach. Just your general thoughts heading into this season.
Well, you know, we, just like everyone, we're just excited to be able to get back out there and play. You know, it seems with such a short year last year, I think everyone is just very, very excited. And then the other thing that stands out to me is I think we all feel like our teams are a little bit better. And probably that has to do with those of us that were able to have some seniors from a year ago come back and compete for us again this year. So I think that maybe college baseball is just going to be better than it was, because I think every coach that I have talked to feels like this is going to be a better year than what they had a year ago. So we're no different than that. We feel very good about what we have. We think we've got a good mix, but we're kind of older, and that's we think that's a good thing for us. Schedule wise, we tried to schedule extremely tough to get us ready for league play, because the league has been so good and has been getting better. And so we tried to schedule our first 4 weekends to be a real challenge for us to get us ready for OVC play. So we're anxious. We're anxious. I think that it's time. I think we're ready to play, and there's been a lot of practice, but obviously no outside competition. So we're ready to go.
Thanks, Coach. Again, if anybody has a question, let me know down in the chat and I'll call on you. I wanted to ask every coach this. Again, there's some negatives you can talk about not playing last year, but what is something really positive? And maybe it's that closeness and bring your team together, something positive that's happened over the past year to help your team be better at this point right now.
Well, I think that, some of it may have been forced on us, but I think that we've had to learn to be able to adjust. And, we're also, we love to get in our routines, and baseball is a game of routine. And we have been forced to adjust, and from scheduling to really everything that goes on, to who's showing up for practice. You got guys that are missing practice with COVID issues or tracing issues. And so from a player standpoint and from a coach's standpoint, I think that we've learned to adjust a little bit better than we have in the past.
Got one more, and then we'll go to our questions down here. You said schedule, so I wanted to ask you about that, and some of the other coaches had talked about it. Just and you put out your schedule a little bit in advance, and it may have had some tweaks, but just the difficulty in scheduling, and then the flexibility that you may have to have if games get canceled or postponed.
Well, most of us, I would say our schedules are pretty much complete a year ahead of time, sometimes 18 months ahead of time. My schedule from 6 months ago is so different than it was. And, we don't really want to travel quite as much. We want to, everyone wants as best they can to stay close to home and play. We've had to adjust a couple of times with some other issues. We're actually sitting at 54 games right now instead of 56. But I think that with the things that are going on, hopefully we'll be able to fill those games, because it's important to me that we try as hard as we can to play 56 games this year after missing the number of games we did a year ago. And then our rosters are expanded. So the more games we play, the more opportunities we have.
Let's go Van Stokes, if you want to ask your question.
Coach, good to see you. Look forward to catching up to you here through the course of the season. Talk about Alex Webb, if you will. I was really impressed with him previously. He looks like the spark to this team. Talk about what he means to this team.
Well, I think what he brings is a tremendous amount of leadership. He started at the University of Alabama, and then he transferred to Chipola. And then this will be his third year here. Of course, we weren't expecting him to be back for this year, but he brings a tremendous leadership. He handles our pitchers fantastic. He's the hardest worker that we have. He's one of those guys, kind of a rat. He's always here. He's always working. Baseball means an awful lot to him. But I think that, of course, his left-handed hitting, and of course how he handles our pitchers, and he's a good thrower. But I think even more than that, he brings leadership for us.
Thanks, Coach.
Coach, talk about Alex's flexibility, because you've used him a couple different places, and I know his bat has obviously been pretty good, and you DH'd him, but catcher, and just how he works into your lineup.
Well, we need him in our lineup. Offensively, we need him in the lineup. I think there's going to be some differences this year with playing 2 9-inning games on our Saturdays. And so I don't think that he will catch quite as much as maybe he has, but we do need to keep him in the lineup, which is going to be difficult. And we've got some guys who can swing the bat. We've got 2 new guys that are in our order that we feel like have a chance to be middle of the order type guy. One is a freshman and one's a senior transfer. So we feel like offensively we're a little bit better than we have been. But of course, like we said, I think most people feel that way right now.
Let's go to Mike Paris.
You're muted.
Strengths of your team. What do you feel is the overall strength and one of the biggest strengths with this club?
For me, I think the strength that we have is top to bottom. I think that we can put a lineup out there that 1 through 9 is going to be really good. And then I think we have 4 or 5 guys that we feel like could start for us on the mound that are quality guys. And we have a guy at the end that we feel really good about getting the last, but I think we feel better about those middle guys than we had in the past. So I think it's, again, we all feel like we have depth this time of year, but I think it would be the depth. I feel like our lineup 1 to 9 is going to be stronger than it's been since I've been here.
More so than in years past? Is there a greater competition for playing time?
Well, there is. I think we have some guys that are going to be in our lineup every day. You know, when I look at Cole Frederick and I look at Isaac Alexander, those guys are going to be in there every day. Trey Kirkland is going to play center field for us basically every time out, we hope. Alex Strachan is going to be in our lineup basically every day. But I think that we have some guys that we can plug in to be a little different. We got some guys who can run, and we've got some guys that we feel like have a chance to hit the ball a long way. And so this league is an interesting league. There's some parts that are very, very offensive. And when you play in those parts, you need to be able to hit some home runs to play. And then there's others like ours where you really need to be able to defend the field because there's going to be less home runs hit here. So I feel like that we can put lineups out that can do both of those things.
Coach, we probably asked you about this last year, but since you said your venue and your field, talk about just now that you've had the improvements for a bit, what it's been like and how that helps your team. And you were able to bring some pretty big opponents to Jim Case Stadium to play.
Yeah, it's really helped us from a scheduling standpoint. There's no question. And, you know, we're kind of in the middle of an SEC type footprint. And some of those teams were not coming to our previous stadium, but that are now back on the schedule and coming. It's a great place to play. Our fans have been great to show up. We've had much bigger crowds than we've had in the past. And you pretty much know you're going to play with an all-turf field. That's been a great thing. The weather here, like today, the weather is terrible right now and has been for the last 15, 16 hours. I don't have any doubt that we'll practice this afternoon. In the past, this practice would have already been canceled. So that's been a huge help to us. Kyle, it's been a big help to us recruiting wise. When we get kids on this campus and we show them what we have, I think that what it shows them is that baseball means something. And so we've been able, we think our recruiting has gone up a notch since we've had this stadium, and we think it should continue to.
Anybody else has a question? We got time for one more or so for Coach. Let me know down in the chat. So technically you're all the defending champions since we didn't have a champion last year. Do you use that, or I know it's been removed from 2019, just your thoughts on that?
Well, certainly 2019 was a great year for us, and we do look back on it, and we're proud of that. But boy, it seems like almost a lifetime ago. I'm so proud from an OVC standpoint. The year before, what Tennessee Tech was able to do, and then in 2019, I felt like we were a great representative, and hopefully the league will continue to do that, because I do feel like there's some strength this year in the league. I think it's going to be a really difficult year, to try to finish in the top 3 or 4 in this league is going to be very, very difficult.
Well, Coach, we appreciate your time this morning, and best of luck to your team and health and weather as well this season.
Thank you, Kyle, and thank you for everything that you do.
Appreciate your time.